Great.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another fabulous CCCBA program. We have today with us some of our favorite people from Smith.ai, Clio, LawPay, Law Clerk, and GNGF. They're amazing supporters of the Bar Association as sponsors and member benefit providers. So as member benefit providers, they offer discounts to you. We'll be sending information later, and if you're interested in that, the member benefits page is in the member center on our webpage. But I want to let you know that they are here today in their role as educators. All of them are seasoned speakers and educators, and they're here to talk with you about how you can keep serving your clients in the best way possible now and in the future. And I thank them so much for putting this panel together. It's amazing to see them all at once. So I'm going to turn it over to Maddy Martin from Smith.ai, and she's going to moderate today's program.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anne, and it's great to be here with everyone. We attended the CCBA, I think spectacular, you called it, last year. So we're very happy to be a relatively new member benefit, and I'm really glad to be joined by my friends here from Clio, LawPay, Law Clerk, and GNGF. Otherwise known as Get Noticed, Get Found. So we're going to talk about the top law practice solutions to serve clients better and to sustain growth, especially with a focus on the COVID crisis and how priorities and strategies and tactics may have shifted and what we recommend from the inside. What I would recommend is that you take some notes right now. There will be resources provided after this CLE webinar. And I find personally that it's really helpful to jot down things that resonate with me. We all will be available to you and provide contact information so that you can follow up on any questions, because we know sometimes questions are not always raised during webinars, but they're relevant to your practice. So make sure that you do reach out and ask us if there are things that you don't bring up today live. So I would like to just start with, the very top of the funnel, so to speak. Where do clients come from? How do we engage well with them? And here today is Mark Homer from GNGF, Get Noticed, Get Found. And I'd like to introduce him. Mark, can you just share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into some core questions about what lawyers need to know right now with respect to marketing?
Yeah, thanks, Maddy. So Mark Homer, the CEO of Get Noticed, Get Found, or GNGF. And we're basically a full service marketing company that kind of works as like an outsourced CMO for you, a part-time outsourced CMO with all the execution of digital services. So from website design and build out to search engine optimization and paid advertising and social media, all the digital things. So that's kind of what we do. And we've been around for about 10 years, and we've kind of grown mostly via word of mouth. And the fact that we wrote a book, a lot of people get the book and sometimes give us a call as well. So we have a book called Online Law Practice Strategies, which we're actually, we can talk about, but we're giving that away for free. We have like 500 copies we're giving away right now. So I'll put a link there if anybody wants to copy the book as well.
Fantastic. So, I mean, that's an incredible resource, that book. And there is a lot, I'm sure, that's being drawn from there to advise clients right now who are working, in a law firm, who own a law firm, who are operating a law firm. What do you recommend that they say to their clients right now amid this COVID crisis, and then also to position themselves in front of leads who are a good fit for their law firm?
Right. So that's a lot to cover. But so the biggest thing I would say is right now, because we've heard from some people, it's like, hey, should I even be marketing right now? I know it's kind of crazy. And so my approach to that is, you should always be out, marketing and stuff, but do it in the way like lawyers should be marketing, which is, leading with empathy, leading with help. Like lawyers, you got into this business because you want to help people and solve big problems and things like that. So continue to do that. And that's what your marketing message should be anyways. So if you're leading with, like answering questions and providing value, being involved in your community, and continuing to do those things, feel free to market that and connect with, the consumers out there who are looking for help. I mean, I think right now, especially as we're on the back end of this, it seems, consumers, like when there's a lot of like uncertainty, people really need lawyers, right? So this is a time when a lot of people are going to be like looking for and wanting to understand what's going on. And we're seeing a lot of opportunities out there for law firms to kind of get a good foundation to build, you know, a good successful stream out of this, because a lot of people are online looking.
And based on what you're seeing around people who are online searching for law firms, I imagine that you have sort of consolidated and amassed a lot of data. What are the trends right now that are coming in terms of the data that's being reported that you're collecting that lawyers can leverage for more informed decision making and better success?
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's really nice that we have Emma here too, because Clio has a bunch of data that they've reported on as well, that comes out of like the practice management systems, and like, you know, what cases are actually being done and what's being worked on and whether the dollars being, you know, generated. We get to see it on the other side. So when they came out with that data, it really matches up closely with what we're seeing in terms of traffic to websites and leads, you know, coming into law firm websites, where a lot of practice areas across the board for the beginning, kind of March 15th for the next 6 weeks or so, like leads were down across the board. However, the biggest interesting note I have is that where the traffic was coming from definitely shifted. So leads still came in. It's not like just it disappeared. They just were down a little bit. But we did see a shift from people doing Google search, driving traffic to websites. It was down about 20%. And Facebook and other referral sources like, you know, social media and things was up 78%. So like just dramatic difference. So, you know, we definitely pivoted a lot of strategies for our clients to, if they're already doing maybe Google ads, you know, how can we, you know, apply that to a Facebook ad and those landing pages? We encourage people who are already engaging in social media to go out and engage more, because they were getting a lot of traffic from Facebook. So let's take advantage of people who are spending time on Facebook. We want to make sure we're out there for that. But the last few weeks, we've noticed an uptick in leads. And so it was interesting, again, seeing the Clio data that there's just, you know, there's a little bit more starting to come up here. And so it's matching the what's coming in for what we're seeing of all the clients and law firms that we manage their websites for. We can see all this data of inbound and matching up with some of the other legal trends out there. It's been very fascinating to see that, yep, there's a light at the end of the tunnel here. Leads are starting to pick back up, but they were happening. And just, I really curious to see if the Facebook and, you know, and it's other social media, but Facebook is a big majority of it, is going to like kind of stick around here as people have maybe learned to use Facebook different ways. So I'm still encouraging people. We're moving more and more things to Facebook ads and having good success with them right now.
So is there a success study that you can share specific to Facebook ads for attorneys who are not as familiar advertising or marketing on that channel?
Yeah, so one of the things I like to remind people when it comes to Facebook ads, and if you haven't marketed in Facebook and you're doing a lot of stuff yourself, Facebook itself, if you go to the, you know, business.facebook.com or something like that, or facebook.com/business, I'll find it and put in the link later. But they have great videos for getting started. So they're actually really helpful for, you know, getting somebody started on Facebook ads. But remember, Facebook is just a really big data network. You can really like dial in exactly the type of, if you really understand your target market, you can dial in. If it's, you know, 30 to 70-year-old, you know, females who like to ride motorcycles, you can dial that in. I mean, in Facebook, you can kind of like write ads to that. So we have an example of a client who is doing personal injury, going after a lot of the class action stuff around the 3M earplugs right now. So if people have heard about that. And we're able to basically target in Facebook people who are in the military or spouses of people in the military through, you know, a lot of the Facebook groups and things like that. And so we're able to target that, and he's able to drive people to an ad that kind of says, hey, you know, this might be of interest to you. If they watch a video, then they get some more ads based on watching that video, and drives them to a landing page where he's able to say, you know, were you in the service during this time? If so, then you qualify, and then driving leads that way. And he's getting great business out of Facebook, significantly cheaper than what we were paying in Google ads. So that's one example. And we have estate planning attorneys doing some really cool stuff and being able to target. We've had family law attorneys do some great stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity out there.
And would you say, Mark, that there are opportunities for law firms who are serving both individuals and businesses on Facebook, or is it more specific just to individuals?
So most of the stuff we're focusing on right now has been consumer on Facebook. However, I am a big proponent that people hire people. So using social media from a business to business standpoint is great from an organic social media perspective, just being out there and engaging. LinkedIn, Facebook groups, getting out there and engaging and keeping your brand and your name in front, you know, providing helpful information. So if you see somebody ask a question in a LinkedIn group or a Facebook group, and it's pertains to, let's say you work with startups, right? And there's you help startups with contracts and IP or whatever, something like that. Very business to business kind of thing. You could go into those kind of groups and provide, the frequently asked question links to your blog or website, maybe some videos. You can pull people out and do interviews, right? There's some great opportunity to connect with people because again, it's people hire people, and these platforms are social networking, and we call them social media now, but they're social networking is what we initially called them. So think of it like a networking event, right? Social media is just a big networking event. So if you can engage on a person-to-person level, that's how we got business in the business to business, for years. So just kind of take that approach.
Okay. One thing that I've heard you talk a lot about is also personal branding on Facebook and sort of sticking your neck out and being a human being and going a little bit beyond just talking about your law firm as a business, but being present on social media as a person and even sometimes being a host within your community. Can you speak to some of the best practices that you've seen people use there? And if they're not comfortable, how to sort of dip your toe in?
Yeah, absolutely. Big fan of, again, like people hiring people, right? So you especially if you're, small solo type of law firm, you are often the law firm, right? Like your face is the law firm. I'll give the example of the networking event again, right? You walk into a networking event, you don't send somebody else to the networking event for you, first of all, right? So it's not like, you're not outsourcing your networking. You also don't walk around with like your latest blog post and just shove it in people's face and say, read this awesome thing, right? No, you go and you engage and you talk to people. Maybe you talk about some sports, you talk about the weather, whatever it is, going on right now. And then you start to build that relationship. That's how, like you need to approach, social media or even like branding for that perspective. You may talk about the cool community event you're part of. So like lawyers are fascinating that they are so helpful in their communities, and they never take advantage of marketing and telling people about that. So maybe the people who are at the event saw the banner was there, but don't know that the hours they spent on the boards and attending things and helping and donating money. Provide that information. Let people want to know, oh my gosh, my attorney helps out the community. Let me brag about that. They want to share that information. So if you share that out there on social media, other people are going to resonate with that and help promote your brand for you.
Now, what we know is also not every person who contacts a law firm is ready to buy, so to speak. So how do you promote engagement long-term once you've connected with them on Facebook, maybe even capture their information by driving them to a landing page where they fill out a form? I'm thinking newsletters, maybe some ongoing content and engagement. What are some affordable tools right now that attorneys can tap into?
Yeah, it's one of the things we've been saying for the last 6 weeks, where people were kind of saying, I need to get started in marketing and because I need leads right now, is I had to be the unfortunate person to say, there's people who've been doing SEO and paid ads and stuff for years, so you're not going to catch up in 20 days. But what you can do is leverage what you already have. And what you mentioned, email lists, is something I've been highly recommending. Is scour all your case files and get those emails. If you have a practice management system, pull those emails out and send one email and say, hey, would you want to be on my email list? Here's what we're going to talk about, and provide some frequently asked questions that people are talking about right now, because you're probably getting them on the phone right now. Like, here's what people are calling and asking me, so let me answer kind of a generic answer for this. Some of the stuff you're doing in the community, get that out in email. Build a referral partner email list, maybe separate from your client and lead email list. What you talked about, having like a landing page with lead magnets, we're really big on like having like a guide or a checklist and downloadable kind of thing that you can grab that information. If you're paying Facebook for the ad, if you're paying Google for the ad, if somebody comes in your website and doesn't call you, that money's gone. If you come to your website and you can get them to download something and you get their email, now you can follow up with them, and you don't have to keep paying Google and Facebook over and over to get that same person to come back to your website, right? So if you can get those emails, that is first of all, it's a short-term strategy that you can do right now with MailChimp for next to nothing. It's a long-term strategy because you're getting these emails and growing your email list over time that you get referrals from, and continued, like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot you did that. Let me call you with my problem that I forgot that you were my lawyer a year and a half ago, right? You could do targeted things if you're in criminal. Some states allow you to do expungement and stuff, and so you can 2 years to the day or whatever your like state laws are, you could send an email saying, hey, it's time for that. So a lot of great things you can do just with an email address.
Yeah, and I think that, that highlights also bringing control back in-house. You're operating within these external channels, Facebook, Google, you're sort of at their mercy, but when you capture that phone number and name and email and information that informs how you reach out to them based on what they connected first through you on, you have really sort of meaningful follow-up that you're in control of that communication from then on. Now, speaking of control, and thank you, Mark, this is an area that I focus on a lot at Smith.ai, and I'll give everyone an introduction to and answer some common questions about virtual receptionist and website chat, which is really the domain of Smith.ai, although we have expanded into text answering and Facebook messaging too. Control is one of the most important dynamics, and I think with solo and small firms, what we see is there is a lack of comfort for releasing control because the motivation for launching a solo or small firm in the first place is to have control over your practice areas, your work, how you work, how the firm runs, what's the focus of the firm, and what is your brand values that you bring to your clients. That is all really important to control, but at some point, if you control everything, you can't grow, you can't have everything on your shoulders. And it's a perfect example right now when there's more on people's shoulders than ever, as we have multiple generation households at home with homeschooling and elder care and trying to run a household, even helping out, your spouse, let alone maintaining a two-partner household where both partners work most often, and you are spread very thin. And I think that now is when many people who are running law firms are experiencing pain points to maintain the level of work that they've required of themselves. To the degree that they can balance that right now, it's getting pushed to the limit. So what Smith.ai is here to do is to deliver really exceptional receptionists by phone, chat, text, and Facebook to respond to those new leads who are coming through the channels that Mark discussed and provide a prompt response that the Clio Legal Trends Report, which if you haven't read, I highly recommend that you do. And it involves all of the services here in terms of the impact that you can have on sustaining more consistent growth for your law practice based on client expectations and what they want. What we know is that it is more important to provide a prompt response than to deliver a later delayed prompt response yourself. And that goes to the control dynamic, because if we focus on the fact that, yes, you are excellent at your job and you do things in a controlled, meaningful way that relates to why you have your own practice and not this huge practice, what's important is that they will never find out how great your law practice is unless you respond, because 2 out of 3 potential clients base their decision to hire on that initial responsiveness. And that's why we exist, because it's not possible to switch gears constantly, to wonder if when the phone is ringing, if it's spam or sales or some unwanted phone call, that you would not accept an interruption for your work for naturally, and you should not. So what do? We are on your front lines, and we can answer calls for you. We can answer website chat, text, and Facebook messages, understanding that screen time is at an all-time high, as Mark was alluding to. And it's really important that when we measure responsiveness, we measure it based not only on speed, but also on the channels through which you're able to respond, and not preferring just phone or funneling everyone into phone, but answering the channel that they're on right then and there, which may be a text message. It may be a Facebook page where a message is coming through. It may be a website chat where they know they're visiting first to your website before they even call, before they even find that form to fill out on your website to ask for more information. But we also make outbound calls. So we can follow up on anyone who does send you an email. You can forward it to us, a form fill on your website, you can forward that to us. And many firms do so automatically so that you don't have to be constantly monitoring an inbox or a pipeline. Those automatically get redirected to a service that in your best interest matches to your custom criteria to determine alongside you, if you haven't already identified it. We have plenty of firms we work with who haven't extracted those sort of criteria from their brain and put it down on paper. That is something that you'll have to do if you work with a service like this, and it's to your firm's benefit to do so, by the way. But we can ask those screening questions. We have a lot of folks who are here who are in litigation, bankruptcy, estate planning, real estate. There are qualities of a potential client that are very strictly identifying whether or not they're a good lead for your firm or someone to refer out. And we can make those referrals for you as well if we're using your criteria to best serve you, and then take those really good clients and schedule them for an appointment, or to take those clients who are not a good fit for your firm and refer them out to other firms you recommend, which I'll say is very good right now to add that on. If you're using a receptionist service and you're not already taking advantage of that, I would say that builds a lot of goodwill. It keeps you top of mind for your referral partners in a way that is happening behind the scenes that you don't have to control. It is already facilitating new business for you and deepening those connections when they see those referrals from your firm come through. And it lessens the workload later on to have to tell all these people who are now in your pipeline, no, I'm sorry, you're not a good fit for our firm and we're not going to serve you, right? So it reduces all of that lag. Now, importantly, you think all these conversations are coming through. Who's handling them, right? That's a key contributing factor to quality right now. And we hire the best staff who have customer service, hospitality, and often legal and admin backgrounds. These are not college kids, right? These are not freelancers who are willy-nilly spending a few hours on Smith.ai during their free time every week. First of all, they're already people who have solid, quiet home offices. We were not operating out of a call center before COVID, and we are not doing so now and won't in the future. We have quiet home offices for all of our staff where you will not hear anything other than the call happening as if they are in-house for you. These are people who were, for example, running military call centers. A lot of them are military spouses, and they are also people who are formerly of the Florida Supreme Court, right? A paralegal from there. These are people who are serious career professionals, but whose lifestyles have been dictated by maybe a spouse who travels often for work, who needs to move there in the military as well. You can imagine what it's like to be a spouse and have a serious career opportunity and a great skill and have to be flexible for your household to move around. We offer a serious career for those people so that they can take their job with them, have a real legitimate job, and be of service to you as well. Now, one thing that I'll say that's important, we have a ton of people who are coming in from the military who end up working for Smith.ai, and that is to your benefit for a couple of reasons. There are also uncomfortable conversations, and it's not just about screening leads and having a friendly voice on the phone. Sometimes it's about taking care of tasks that are important to your business that are outside of your comfort zone for other reasons, right? It may be collecting payments. And Amy can speak to this. It's even relevant to the Clio conversation, but it's very important when you're running a law practice efficiently to capture the revenue that's due to you. And what do we know? We know that people who are running a law firm capture only about 85% of the work that was completed on the invoice itself, and then only about 85% of that invoice is ever paid. Now, we know that credit cards have a huge impact in getting that payment rate up towards 97, 98, 99%. We see that with our clients all the time who are using tools like LawPay. There is also the understanding that clients simply won't work with a law firm if they don't take credit card payments. But back to the backbone and back to the military sort of like underpinning of a lot of the Smith.ai receptionists, they can call and ask for that payment for you and collect the payment over the phone with the credit card because they have signed an NDA, they've signed an additional agreement with financial non-disclosure, which means that we are among the most secure receptionist services available so that we can provide this service to you and take that really uncomfortable conversation that you have been pushing off to get those bills paid for a very long time, we finally can capture that revenue that's due to you, which you can then apply and reinvest directly in your business, right? Your bank account may be just fine, but if you get that revenue, then you want to invest in the channels that Mark just shared with us, right? And those do take some investment. So right now you want to be top of mind. You don't want to be shrinking back, but in order to do so, you need to capture the revenue that's due to you. So that's the main message that I wanted to share, that the comprehensive services is really what we focus on. That's our worldview at Smith.ai. And we do have a free trial so that you can work with us if you haven't worked with a receptionist service before, or one that's as capable as we are, to get the chat installed on your website, to get the phone calls handled to your liking, and to finally take care of those interruptions so that you can provide a prompt response without hurting your productivity and you can get work done. So related to getting work done, what I want to focus on is, what Amy's here for, which is about payments. And getting work done means also, for many, billing hourly or billing towards a fixed plan. And what that means for many clients is often, sort of tracking their time with the attorney internally, and how do they approach a new legal matter and understand how much it's going to cost and how they're going to afford it. That's top of mind for a lot of people who come via the channels that Mark identified, and then start to think as the wheels are turning, this is really appealing. I clearly do need an attorney. How am I going to afford it? So Amy, what conversations are happening right now around the finances of working with a law firm?
Sure. Such a good question, and so timely. That's been a big conversation even in a pre-COVID time, right? The idea of, having a finance model where you're asking for, maybe a $5,000 upfront retainer is untenable to some people. And so one of the great things that has really opened the door to a lot of people for legal services and helped lawyers extend their services to a much broader audience is the creation of online payment plans. That's something that I think has really come up and grown in popularity over the last few years. Taking that same $5,000 retainer and then setting it on an automatic schedule to break up those payments, to make them a little bit more digestible for somebody who maybe doesn't have that cash on hand. Let it run automatically so that it's just constantly happening in the background. You can budget for it, you can anticipate it, you can build it into your workload. And so we've seen a lot of that. And on the LawPay side, or Clio has this built into their system as well, we've seen people get really smart and sophisticated with it. If you know that you have a client who gets paid bi-monthly, they get paid on the 15th and the 30th, you can work with them and say like, okay, well, let's go ahead and run your payments on the 16th and the 1st. And that way they're coming out. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry if it's at the end of the month and you're going to have enough in the account to make that payment land. You can work with your client and say, what's going to work for you? How can we make this easy? How can we make this just thoughtless for you so it feels effortless? It feels simplified. And especially right now, kind of since COVID has happened, Mark mentioned that, leads have kind of decreased a little bit for law firms coming on. We've found that lawyers are really loving this feature for themselves because it helps their cash flow be a little bit more predictable. So in addition to, capturing that retainer, some people are saying, let's just put you on a payment plan. We're going to do $500 every month or, $100 a week. And the lawyers are benefiting just as much as their clients are because it's easy. They're not having to chase after invoices and they can predict when that money's going to be coming in the door.
So how easy is it to get started, Amy? I know a lot of people are really intimidated around using credit cards. I mean, how easy is it to get started? And then also sort of what's included in that world of LawPay? Like, can I use a debit card? Can I use like ACH or a bank transfer with my routing number?
Super good questions. So what our kind of our founding principle at LawPay is that it doesn't make sense to do this if it wasn't going to be easy for people. And we intentionally built LawPay to plug into your life and not have to have you adapt the way that you're running your business to accommodate online payments. And so getting started with LawPay, it is simple. You can be set up and accepting payments within 24 to 48 hours. And from there, we have a really flexible model that lets you accept payments in the places you're already doing your business. So one of the core foundations that we have is we create a secure payment page for you. It is hosted on our secure server, so you don't have to worry about that sensitive payment data living on your computer or living on your servers. We've got all that covered, but you can do whatever you want with this little URL. We always joke, if you can send an email, you can use LawPay. Like, you can copy and paste that link into your emails, or link it from your email signature.
We
You
get them all
could
the
give it,
time. Mhm.
yeah, you can give it to a receptionist with Smith.ai and have them capture that payment when they're on the phone with somebody, when they've got them right there having a conversation with them. We're seamlessly integrated into Clio. Clio's built an amazing version of LawPay in as Clio payments. And so if you're using Clio already, you can be using LawPay in the exact same software where you're already doing all of your other work. They have the same payment plans that I mentioned before. They've got that built into Clio, so you can just capture everything right there. It's as easy and as flexible as you need it to be. We've got a lot of people who put a little hyperlinked button on their website that says click to pay, and people can just click it, put in their payment information, and be done. And we really see that that's what people are accustomed to these days. I pay my electric bill online. I pay all of my, my vet bill online after my dogs go in to get their shots. All of that's happening online. People are trained to look for these little things. And so that's really meeting your clients where they're at. And we offer, as you asked, all forms of payment acceptance. So credit cards, debit cards, e-check, ACH transfers, however you want to run your business, we're going to make it possible for you to get paid that way.
And is there a way to, securely sort of have peace of mind that that information is kept in the right sort of server for financial data? And then one other question is around, sort of sharing payments. I know that people right now may be hurting for cash. How do family members sort of contribute to a legal payment using LawPay?
Such a great questions. So on the security side, yeah, that's, there's nothing more important than data security. And so as a payments company, that's our lifeblood. It's what we live and breathe. And so we have an incredibly sophisticated system built to protect payment data no matter what. And so we have to adhere to a set of security standards. It's called PCI, it stands for Payment Card Industry, that's set by the credit card brands. So our system is continually audited. We get audited quarterly from an offsite independent security assessor. And then once a year, they come into our office. They have an office in our offices, and they get to see how we live and breathe and make sure that we are adhering to the highest and most rigorous security standards. We also have an internal team of about 10 people who all they do is work on monitoring things like risk and fraud. And so they're constantly looking at our system, real human eyeballs backing up the technology every single day to make sure that payment information and payment data is secure as possible. Now you mentioned, sometimes people are having a difficult time paying for services right now, and they might want somebody else, or maybe, a family member wants to chip in and help out. If anybody would like these, we actually have some credit card authorization forms that we share with our lawyers that they can customize. And we've got one to authorize future payments from your client themselves. And we also have another one to authorize future payments from a family member or a third party. So if you've got a family member who's going to be making payments on your behalf, or if you have a client who wants to have a family member making payments, we can set you up with one of these forms so that you can go ahead and add that to your intake process, keep it on hand, and get everything set up to work perfectly that way.
So, and I see the questions coming in. I'll address those momentarily. I just want Amy to sort of have a chance to finish here. And a couple questions and one comment, actually, Amy. I'll say that our receptionists who actually staff the live chat, the website chat, really appreciate having that link to the custom branded LawPay payment page when they're scheduling a consultation for a law firm that requires payment for consults, right? I mean, you can imagine, if someone's on the phone, it's a very simple workflow to say, I need to take $100 payment, for example, to schedule this consultation for you. It reduces the no-show rate. It makes sure the person is serious, right? They have some skin in the game. But what we find with website chat and also texting, you can send the link anywhere, even on Facebook, is that if someone expresses an interest in scheduling a consultation, it makes it very easy to give them the link. They enter their own information securely online. We're not passing credit card information back and forth in a web chat, which would not be a best practice. And then they can actually provide back to us the transaction ID that is provided to them when the payment is confirmed that it's gone through, and then we know that we have the confirmation and can proceed with scheduling the appointment. So from our end, it's very effective to be able to provide a secure link that's handled comfortably by that potential client and then responded back to us with an ID number that we know is in the LawPay format, right? So that's actually a really nice thing to add to your workflow. Amy, can you just share, is there a member benefit for CCCBA members, and how do they access that?
Yes, so I will throw a link into the chat in a second here. We are a proud CCCBA member benefit partner, and you can get to the dedicated landing page at lawpay.com/CCCBA. And we have an offer right now for CCCBA partners or for members. You can come online with LawPay and pay no monthly fee for your first 3 months. So you're not paying for anything you're not using. And it's a really nice way to kind of dip your toe into the online payments waters and see if it makes sense with your law firm and the way that you're running your business.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amy. Emma, speaking of workflows, I mean, I think from the Clio manage, Clio grow perspective, Clio is handling more for the law firm than ever. Can you provide an overview of everything that Clio is doing right now, and then speak to some of the immediately relevant best practices for attorneys who may be using Clio or who may be thinking about using Clio?
Yeah, sure. So I'll just give a little bit of a background about Clio. I know we mentioned it a couple times. We may have some Clio users on here, some using some of our software products, and some not. So we actually have 2 different offerings, and when combined, it's called the Clio suite of products. So the first and probably the most known software that we originally came out with 10 years ago, or a little over 10 years ago, I think now, was a cloud-based case management software, or practice management, kind of both are simultaneously used. So that actually provides everything from time and billing, expense tracking. It plugs in, like Amy mentioned, through Clio Payments, which is actually powered by LawPay. So it just eliminates the $20 a month fee, but you actually get to use LawPay just like you normally would through Clio Payments there. It also allows you to automate documents, to communicate with clients through a secure encrypted portal, which I think now more than ever is probably very, very important, as we're doing things virtually more and more. And it allows you to really just manage your case from start to finish and check reports that, like Mark mentioned, later you can pull into a list and send to your marketing agency to help manage that aspect. So that is Clio Manage. Then we also have Clio Grow, and Clio Grow actually starts at the beginning of the process. So it's actually for even before you get hired as a firm. It's really to help funnel in those leads that come to your firm, or that maybe you're putting on your website, someone reaches out, or you have a virtual receptionist service like Smith.ai, and they're collecting leads when they call in. You can actually get those automatically plugged in through Clio Grow, and then you'll reach out to, you can you can communicate and track all that communication with clients through automated email workflows. You can draft automated emails directly through Clio Grow. You can sign engagement letters and draft automatic online intake forms, which one really exciting thing that we just recently released was public intake forms. So if you have them on your website, you can actually make them public for anyone. Just place a link, URL link there. And then we also have automatic scheduling available through Clio Grow as well, which now integrates excitingly with Clio Payments. So like Maddy was saying, that's more important than ever. I think now you want to make that process really easy during consultations. So this allows that if you do charge a consultation fee. But together with Clio Grow and Clio Manage combined, if you were to purchase both, they plug into each other, and that's called the Clio suite of products. So I think that was a lot of information about different things that Clio actually does. And Maddy, what was the second part of your question?
So what are some best practices? Like I always hear like Clio is so amazing. Our clients absolutely love it. And there are certain things that I think they find most amazing and useful, because Clio, you could take a lifetime to utilize every tool that you guys make available to the law firm owner, right? So plugging in right away, or even for seasoned users who might not know what's lurking in there, that's a new feature that's having a high impact. What's sort of like your favorite features or most impactful features you hear over and over again?
Yeah, well, one thing that I'll start, which is actually really, really simple, and this is, someone coming in that's not super familiar with technology, you're trying to take it slow. Honestly, I think that just task management in general is going to be a huge thing, and that's included in Clio Grow and Clio Manage. But especially as you're working with a virtual team, seeing who's done what on a case, or scheduling reminders and calendaring in your calendar, that's automatically included in Clio Grow and Manage. And it helps you check not only in your external calendar, like in Google or Outlook, you can check through there, but you can also see in Clio what tasks have been done and what's next. So I think that's kind of a simple feature that actually has a lot of value there. Timekeeping is obviously one of those as well. Some people just start off using it simply for timekeeping and tasks, and slowly, as they get to know the feature, start using it for things like payments or for signing documents. I think as you go more advanced, one really exciting feature is the ability to e-sign documents. And I actually think that used to be what we considered more advanced, and now it's almost just a necessity because we can't really go to clients' houses as much. Hopefully, many people are trying to avoid that if they can. So the really, really awesome feature that we just recently released is actually we integrate directly with HelloSign now in both Clio Manage and Clio Grow to allow you to e-sign documents. So that's a really great feature, I think, that's been necessary. And that allows you to send clients virtually documents. They get a printed or a PDF version that they can print out if they really do want to also retain that printed version, but it allows you to kind of go around the in-person interactions there. And then as we go more advanced, I would say the workflows through emails, automation through sending online, sending direct email workflow templates, or setting up series of tasks that can automatically be completed based on a certain action. Or once you get hired, maybe you have certain things and steps in your steps in your case that you need to perform. One really cool feature that is a little bit more advanced that I would suggest taking it step by step after you get Clio, but one really awesome feature is being able to automate a lot of those tasks so that they automatically populate and you know exactly what to do in order.
That's fantastic, Emma. Thank you. I want to steer the conversation just because I know we got started late. We have limited time. We're going to go over the hour so that we make sure that Mike has enough time as well. Just because we did get started about 10 minutes late. But Emma, can you share a little bit about some of the amazing resources that Clio is making available right now with respect to COVID specifically? I just wrote about Corvum. I almost said Corvum. COVID specifically, and the resource portal, and then maybe also this new update that you have on the Clio Legal Trends Report. I thought that was so amazing that you guys got that out so quickly.
Yeah, so I'll resend that link to the new update. Basically, we publish a legal trends report every single year on different where we survey thousands of law firms across the US, thousands of legal consumers of legal products, and survey them on varying things. So this year we wanted to change it up, obviously, because COVID hit, and we want to know what firms are experiencing. So we actually published some specific research related to surveys that we conducted from firms related to COVID. So I'll republish those stats and those articles in the chat. And then a couple different resources that we have ongoing. So we know that it's really been difficult for firms to adjust and working from home. Also, with so many different changes coming up, we've put together a couple things. So we have a Speak to an Expert series where you can come to expert talking about the Clio Cares, or the CARES Act initiative, and then you can also do accounting office hours that are weekly. One really awesome thing is that actually those are not conducted internally, but we have hired external consultants that really know these subjects really well. So I'll publish a link to our work from home resources page that contains all of those different links to accounting office hours, the CARES Act, and I know we did have some about different loans that were available. I think that's really awesome to be able to get assistance firsthand on those, especially as the government replenishes its funds and things like that. So those are some really amazing resources that I'll post. And one other thing I want to mention, during this time, we're doing a lot of webinars on COVID related subjects. So actually, as Mark was talking about a lot of the social media tactics that are going on right now and what to think about, that's a really awesome start to one of our next week's webinar with Mark specifically, where we're going to be talking in a lot more depth about social media and marketing for law firms. So we're hosting a lot of these virtual meetups where people can come in, speak live, and ask their questions. And then we're also doing once a month CLE eligible, and especially in California, I think I've shared these with Anne before, but CLE eligible webinars that, you know, as you're trying to get your CLE credits during this time, that's an easy way to get them online without having to go in person.
So Emma, just wrapping up the, Clio, what is it cost to get started? What member benefits are available? I think you touched on that a little bit already around the cost.
Yeah, so I will post also a link to the CCBA specific discount, because Clio members of the CCBA do get a 10% discount on Clio products. So that website is clio.com/CCCbar, and I'll post that here as well. And the cost to get started, can really range from anything like, so if you're just getting Clio Manage, you can start with a starter pack of $39, and you can go up to $99 depending on what type of features you want. So there is a feature list on our clio.com/pricing page where you can just go through and see, kind of as you advance what features you'll need. And then if you do want Clio Grow or the suite of products, there's obviously a different rate if they're cheaper, if it's packaged together, but separately for Clio Grow, it's $49 per month.
Great. Emma, thank you so much. Mike, last but not least, I think that we have a really great mix here of both tech tools and talent pools, let's say, to support the law firm. And Law Clerk is providing a two-way marketplace really for freelance lawyers, both to participate as a freelance lawyer and to find help for your law firm to get more work done. Can you share a little bit about your role at Law Clerk? I know you've been there for a while, and what Law Clerk does exactly. What's the range of work that's happening on this platform or through the platform?
Yeah, thank you, Maddy. So we're a very unique service. We're about 3 years old. I've been there since the beginning. We are a marketplace where attorneys can go to hire freelance lawyers on a per project basis. On the flip side, we also have freelancers who come onto the site to pick up extra work. I joke that we're like an Uber for lawyers. So we're here if you need us. If you don't use our services, there's no harm, no foul. You're not paying anything. It's a completely free service to sign up for. You create an account with us. You post the project and the details you need done. You post a flat fee price you want to pay, post it online, and lawyers apply to you. You can look at resumes, writing samples, reviews of past projects from the freelancers. You pick the one you want to hire for that one project alone. So it's a great resource for especially small and solo firms who need help from time to time, but don't have workload to hire a full-time associate. Or for firms who just need some subject matter expertise, or if you do a specific area of law, but your client needs something else you don't really know as well, you can hire someone just to crank that out for you. We also work with a lot of attorneys who just want to pick up extra work. And so they're focusing on going to court, pulling new clients, talking to their current clients. This way, our freelancers can do background work for them. All the research, all the written work, all the document review, stuff that the attorney's time is better spent doing other things. They can then have freelancers who are all US-based attorneys doing this background work for them. So that's kind of how LawClerk runs.
So can you speak a little bit to the onboarding process for one of the freelance attorneys on your platform? You know, if I were an attorney, which I'm not, how would I get started? How long does it take? You know, how do you verify even the profiles and the reviews also that come through?
So like I mentioned, it's free on both sides, free for the attorneys to sign up, free for the freelancers to sign up. It's about a 2 to 3 minute process for the attorneys. It takes about 5 minutes for the freelancers. The way it works is you register for your free account at lawclerk.legal. We get bar numbers. We have IDs on file. We want to make sure that you are who you say you are. We verify everyone, and we have a great vetting process to make sure you're an attorney in good standing on both sides. Because of this, we have a satisfaction guarantee on the work you get back. The way it works, though, is you send us all the details. On the freelancer side, we need a resume, a writing sample, and a little bio about you. On the hiring side, it's bar number and ID. And we, again, vet everyone, put you on the site. Once you're on the site, you can then select to be as active as you want. So we have some attorneys who might post monthly. We have some who post daily. We have some freelancers who only pick up when they pick up projects when they have some spare time. We have a lot of solos on the site who, when they're busy, they post projects because they need the extra help. But then when workload dies down, they pick up projects to kind of fill the time at their firm. So that works really well for people. And then our freelancers are all different walks of life. So we have some right out of law school, all the way up to 30, 40-year practitioners who are retiring or close to retiring. We have a lot of stay-at-home parents. We have military spouses, like you said, for Smith.ai. We have a lot of big law attorneys who are either sick of the hours or sick of the big law practice. So they either branch off on their own or they want to make their own hours and do it their own way. But it's nice because our freelancers and our attorneys are in all 50 states. They're only US based. They're in all areas of law, and then they're all different years of practice. So you might want someone eager right out of law school who can crank out research for you, but then you might need someone who's been doing it for 30 years, who has done Supreme Court writ petitions, who know their areas so well that they can kind of step in and give you subject matter expertise so quickly for, again, the flat fee price you name. So it's great because you can control your costs that way.
I imagine that's a core benefit of not hiring a traditional associate and then using the flexibility of, you know, and the scalability of freelance attorneys. Can you speak to, I think one of the most common questions that I hear about LawClerk is, what do I price a project? You know, do you have guides? I know that you have account managers, I think now, who can help with that. Can you speak to that process to sort of allay some of the concerns?
That is probably the most commonly asked question because attorneys are so used to hourly billing. And with us, everything is done flat fee. The way we work is, because you name the price, we have every attorney that registers on the site, we pair up with a dedicated LawClerk advisor who is there to help them post projects, help them price projects. They can walk them through their area of law and see what people have been pricing projects at or what they're posting. What we do is we tell people $75 to $100 an hour is a great starting point. So if you think the project will take you 5-6 hours, we say multiply it by 75 to 100, post it on the site. You can always see the type of freelancers you get. If you're getting 1 or 2 applicants and you're like, oh, maybe I priced it too low, you can always change the price. But we're here to help you and guide you through that project, the pricing of the project. But basically, if you do flat fee billing, we tell you 30 to 40% of what you're billing your client is what you should post a project at. So if you're billing your client $1,000 flat fee to do the work, we say $300 to $400 to price the project on the site is a kind of reasonable price. The nice thing too is, I'm kind of going out of order here, but at the end, the freelancer has to give you a time card saying how many hours they worked on the project. They still get paid their flat fee rate that you named, but you can then upcharge their work like you would an associate or paralegal illegal, as long as it's at a reasonable market rate. So it's completely ethically compliant. Again, as long as it's at that reasonable market rate. So you can take on more work, make money on these freelancers taking on the work, and then you can then spend your time doing what you need that's more valuable as opposed to research or written behind the scenes work.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And is there something that CCCBA members benefit from as being a member?
So right now, we just started the process to become a member benefit. I think I emailed Ann a couple weeks ago. I don't know where we're at. I should follow up with her after this call.
So coming soon.
But we definitely are trying to get that process started. Right now, we're trying to do 10% off your first 3 projects. Hopefully, I'll chat with Ann, but we can become that member benefit within the next week or so. And then if we're not already, but we're definitely here to help in any way, shape, or form. And because it's a free service, you can. Another nice, quick little feature I'll tell you about. I know we're running a little late.
We started late.
We have a Teams feature where what you can do is you can say, hey, I'm actually looking for someone who knows this area, who's been practicing for 10 years or more, post on the site. Attorneys will apply to you to be a member of your team. You can vet them all by, again, same thing, looking at resumes, writing samples and reviews. And if you think they're a good fit for your team, you add them to your team, and then you can invite them directly to work on projects. So it's great because you can kind of build a team of freelance virtual associates who are there for you when needed. But again, there's no cost. So if you're like, hey, workload has died down right now, I don't need the help. But in 3 weeks from now, you're in court or you're on vacation or you're busy with clients, they're there for you when you need. So I will definitely chat with Ann after this call to kind of see where we're at, but we will become one. So hopefully really soon, if not already.
Fantastic. Well, Mike, thank you so much. That's exciting about the new member benefit and joining all of us here. And Ann, I wanted to please come back on audio and video and share any questions that you may have or members may have that we may have missed or that we can, follow up with before we end our session today.
I've been watching the chat. You guys have been doing a great job of doing that. Do you have a few minutes? I can allow people to talk, and if they want to ask questions, sure. we can do that.
Please, yeah.
So I'm gonna give everybody the ability to talk. So you have to unmute yourselves if you want to ask a question. So give me a second. Let me get through everybody. I haven't figured out how to do that in one mass swoop, so I got to do everybody individually. And I think that's everyone. So if you have some questions for the panel, go ahead and unmute yourself and just ask. We won't be able to see you, but we can definitely hear you. So just identify yourself and then go ahead and ask your question. Be brave, someone. Nobody?
While you guys are thinking about your questions, and we have maybe another 5 minutes we can offer up for that, I will say one thing, and Mark and I and many people on the panel and I have talked about this, that right now, if you're thinking about your processes and your systems and the value of all these tools that we're offering, I will just really strongly encourage that you will get very busy again very soon if it's a quiet time right now, and I would take every moment that you have to focus on doing those things that were on the backlog, that were on the business building, internal operations side. Those you've heard of Zapier, or you've heard of, now Clio and LawPay, and you want to transition to online electronic payments and tap into this freelancer network at Law Clerk and finally get website chat or your Facebook marketing dialed in. All of these things are very hard to do, especially all at once, when business is humming and things are back to normal. So I would encourage people who, are thinking about how do I do all these things right now? Now is the ideal time to do these things. It's really time to focus inward on the business process and operations.
And I want to follow up on what Maddy just said. Something we've talked about before too is, this is a great time to implement some of these things and to take that time to set up your business. But all of these services are things that will serve you long after this period is over. Like Mark said, they've been working with people who have been working on their SEO and their paid ads for years. Getting a process set up with a virtual receptionist, getting your workflow into a product like Clio, setting up a known network of freelancers. These are things that once that business kicks back up, you're going to be so happy that those are in place, and they're going to continue to pay off even when life returns to normal. So it's a great time to seize it, but these are things that you're going to see just pay off in spades over the months and years to come.
Yeah, Amy, I totally agree. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else, participants or panelists? Wonderful.
I threw a couple tips in there for people, so make sure you check it. If you
You
didn't, if you weren't following
yeah.
the chat, follow the chat. As other people were talking, there are some like marketing tips that you can utilize different services to take advantage of.
And I'm guessing all those links and all that information is in what you guys sent me the other day, most of it.
I sent you, a huge sheet of resources from all of us, in addition to obviously like our takeaway on the Clio Legal Trends Report and Communication Playbook. But some of the links here are in addition to those resources as well. I'm sure that many of them were included by everyone in the general list of resources that we each provided. But the chat transcript, I think, Anne, if you wanted to, generally share that with folks, that would be just fine with us. We've sort of peppered in a few extra links there that were in context helpful. So everyone, we've also provided our emails in the chat. So jot anything down, or Anne can absolutely connect you with each one of us if there are questions specifically that you have, because we know a lot of this is, sort of closely personal, and not everyone wants to share their questions in the open air. We respect that. So thank you for joining us today. Anne, is there anything else that you wanted to mention?
Thanks, Maddy. I just wanted to remind everyone that, again, all these resources, and pretty soon, I think Law Clerks and I think GNGF is pretty close to being a member benefit provider. So they're on the member benefit page, which again is in the Attorney Member Center on the website. So their contact information is all there, and we're trying to keep up to date with all the great things they're providing us. We might not be able to, so click, call them and say, hey, what specials are we doing right now? What do you have to offer? What programs are available? We're trying to keep up, but they're pretty busy. So I also wanted to let you know that please, if you did get your Zoom link, that's great, but that's one registration, but I also need you to make sure you've done your CCCBA registration, so you get kind of an invoice looking confirmation from us, so that I have your contact information, and I can send you the MCLE certificate along with the multitude of resources and contact information that I have from our friends here today. And again, thank you all very much for your wisdom and advice today. And again, we appreciate you for your support of our Bar Association as well. So thanks very much, you guys. Everybody have a great, let's see, we're almost to the weekend, a 3-day weekend. So everybody have a great rest of the week and a great long weekend, okay? Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.